Patterson Foundation
strengthens people, organizations, and communities by focusing on issues that address mutual aspirations,
foster wide participation,
and encourage learning and sharing.
Welcome to Beyond the Blog, a podcast of the Patterson Foundation. Hi, I'm Kiarra Louis, the Patterson Foundation's Initiative Support Coordinator, and your host today to explore the gap, as in a TPF endeavor working to address the ever-widening gap that exists between individuals and families connected with the three essential elements of digital access, which is connectivity, devices, and skill support, and those who are not. Joining me for this conversation today is Sandra Vega-Picchietti, the GAP's co-manager. Sandra, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Kiarra.
So to start off our conversation today, Sandra, I wanted to ask you to please elaborate on something you mentioned in what I'm calling a recent blog of yours. You said that when people ask, what is a gap, your first thought is that it is a provider of hope, hope for connection, hope for resources, hope for the future. Not only is that a very thought-provoking statement, but it also begs the question, why? Why do you see the gap as hope?
I think it's because we have so many people that we serve in the 4 counties of Sarasota, Manatee, Charlotte, and DeSoto counties that have so many needs. You know, they've struggled with circumstances, many beyond their control, and they're just looking for some semblance of hope, of people helping, of something to look forward to, of being able to save money, of being able to provide for their kids in a way that they haven't previously been able to do. I think, it's just with our work, seeing the people in the community and knowing that there is so much need out there, and just hearing their stories. It really brings to light how much the Patterson Foundation and the GAP are needed to bring that light to the community.
Thank you for emphasizing, and I wanted to start with our blog because I thought that was such an interesting comparison. The gap is hope, so I wanted to give you an opportunity to shed more light on that. And I think everything you touched, we're going to explore a little bit more deeper, starting with why is it so vital for families to have access to the internet, a laptop, or technical skills? I think it's easy for everyone to agree, oh yeah, it's important. But especially when we're thinking about our ALICE families, which is asset-limited, income-constrained families, why is it so vital that they have access to these resources as well?
And for many, it's whether they're homeless, and these are just some stories that come to mind. They may be homeless, living in their car, but they need to have access to a computer where they can go into the library and work on things not on a public library computer, or they want to be able to just have other resources, which gratefully are digital navigators, even though Joni and Carol's main focus is the connectivity, the devices, and the skills training connection. To be able to help them find other resources. There is so much more beyond that they do. And oftentimes they provide insight as to what resources are there in the community. And these families, they're seeking just someone who can hear them, who can listen, who will be able to give them a direction. And we have families who have kids who are autistic, who use computers to communicate to the world, but they don't have the money to do it. Or the internet costs $90, $100 or more, and their kids are being homeschooled. It's just a lot of stories that we hear of families who can't afford that $40 a month even on internet, who were fortunate that the digital navigators found them a special program that only required $30 a month. That $10 goes toward additional food. Parents who are single moms, who have 3 kids, and their kids, they don't have computers, and yet they're required to do schoolwork. But they're their needs are so great that they can't afford the groceries or even the rent. So you hear so many stories of people that just need that additional help, because we do service people who are, like you said, income restricted, right? So many don't have jobs that are seeking jobs, but they don't even know how to seek a job without the computer skills. And so we've had parents who are like, okay, I need to find out how to even turn on a computer. I haven't had a computer. Grandparents who are taking care of their grandkids and don't even know how to help them on the computer. And so I see a lot in the community. I think we all do as GAP engagers. And our desire as caring individuals, we're very compassionate. I'd like to say that all the GAP engagers are such compassionate individuals. And we just want to be able to help those who most need it out in the community. And they seek us. They know us in the community, and they seek us out because they know who we are and how we'll listen and help.
That's awesome. Thank you for bringing that to light. A couple of things that I want to touch on, having these digital access resources, once again, going back to the internet connectivity, devices, and skill support is so important for these major interactions that you touched upon, whether it be education, whether it be the workforce. Now it's like finances, everything is moving online. And if you don't have one of these elements, unfortunately, you're going to be left behind. And I'm sure in the conversations you've had with people, you see the stories of people being left behind, and now they're trying to catch up and even the playing field so that they can interact with our modern society, which is moving all digital now. So thank you for touching upon those stories. And I know as the GAP's co-manager, you also shared in the blog that you can see the difference that the GAP is having in the 4 county areas that TPF focuses on, which is Sarasota, Manatee, Charlotte, and DeSoto. And at first glance, it can just seem that all our GAP engagers are doing are just going to events, handing out flyers, and having people complete 15-question intake forms. But for those who may be listening and who may not know how it all works, I would like you to give you a moment, please, to tell us, how does it all work? From the moment you meet someone at an event, what is the journey that they then embark on?
So when we meet people at an event, we get their information. It actually goes beyond those 15 questions because the conversations can often last even 20 minutes. Sometimes it has even more with some people if the need is greater, and they just sometimes just want to share their stories. And we don't want to rush them. At the same time, we may get, let's say in some events we may have 5 people that we'll do intakes on. Other times we'll have intakes on 26 people. So the need varies depending on the event, but the amount of time that we spend on them, we try to give them quality time regardless. And so we'll do an intake and ask those questions.
And the purpose of the intake, once again, if you can add?
Yes, is to gather information that may be information, not just the general, who are you, tell me a little bit about your family, dynamics you have, how many kids do you have, how many people live in the home, what's your address, phone number, email, because we want to be able to contact them and have different ways to contact them. But then we also have questions in regard to how many smartphones do they have that work, because you can have a smartphone but it not work. And how many laptops or tablets do they have? Then we will ask them what are they interested in. Of course, what we do is we have this fantastic resource that we are able to show them visually what we do. We explain what the GAP is. So before we even gather the information, we explain what we do and who the GAP is, and that we're about the connectivity devices and the skills training. We explain it in in a way that we can communicate to them what we do without getting too complicated, right? So we try to simplify it. The good thing is we do it in English and we do it in Spanish because we have a lot of different clients who speak different languages. So we'll gather the information as well as when are they available? Are they available during the day? Some people work 3 jobs, so I can only do it by email, or they'll let us know. I prefer text or phone call. We also collect more information about just what county they live in, as well as information about what their situation is. So oftentimes I'll write down there, this person is currently a grandmother who is taking care of her grandkids. The grandkids are needing a computer, but she wants the skills training to be able to help them on the computer. So I'll write down that information. We all do. And once we've gathered that information from the intake, we put it into an online system. So oftentimes we have paper copies. Sometimes we'll have internet access and we'll be able to type it in as we're talking to the client. And we put it into the online form, which goes into our drive. From there, we select who's English speaking, Spanish speaking. If they are Spanish speaking, we'll do a referral to either the Women's Resource Center or to Goodwill. We have Jessica Pineda in DeSoto County, who is phenomenal, and the Women's Resource Center, who really take care of the Sarasota Manatee County clients who speak Spanish. And once we've done the referrals and we've been able to process what they do, what they need, we'll pass them on to the digital navigator. So that's where we do the referrals to Women's Resource Center or Goodwill. But we also, for those that are English speaking in the 4 counties, we have Joni and Carol, who are, again, phenomenal digital navigators who go above and beyond what the client needs, and oftentimes beyond the gap. It's like beyond the blog, beyond the gap they go. And so we have the digital navigators who then make contact with the clients. And we do, before that, I want to backtrack a little. We have Lindsay, who is wonderful, Lindsay Smith, who sends out an email just letting them know, hey, to the clients, you're going to be contacted by either Joni, Carol, Women's Resource Center, or Goodwill to follow up and to be able to assist you in the ways that you were hoping. So the 4 really, before all that, digital navigation, so there's a lot of back work that happens. Sometimes I think elves do it, right? But anyway, and we have the digital navigators who follow up with the clients. Oftentimes, I'll run into somebody who says, oh my gosh, thank you, what the Gap has done. I mean, sometimes they don't know to word it as the Gap, but what you guys have done was so helpful. Oh my gosh, I am now only paying this much for internet. I didn't even know that Verizon had this, or that Spectrum, which I had before, now has a program that I can actually have a lower cost. I spoke to them like 3 times before and nobody told me. And yet Joni or Carol were able to give me that lower cost. So you hear a lot of the stories like, oh my gosh, the computer was so helpful. And with our digital navigators, I want to give a shout out to the Sarasota Technology Users Group, our STUG. Really, they're just such a blessing to the community, because they take computers, donated computers, refurbish them, give them back. And wow, that has been a great thing for our clients. And I want to give a shout out to all the people who donate the computers, the phones, the tablets, iPads. I mean, it's like everybody comes together to help each other. Really, after that, they sometimes do we hope they do a kind of like a feedback form. which Joni and Carol provide to the clients that they've helped. And the feedback just sings our praises, but we don't do it for the praises. We do it because it's the right thing to do.
Thank you for sharing that, Sandra, and for outlining the journey that a client embarks on when they do an intake form. Even though they don't know that they're embarking on a journey, they really are, because it really is an orchestration of so many different players to help close the gap for an individual or for an individual family, because it really is all these players playing their part to help close their piece, to help the person get the digital access resources that they need, and to provide some additional information to who digital navigators are. I like to describe them as the social worker of technology, because they will sit there with you and take their time to help you based on the needs that you had shared. And sometimes they help you with the needs that you didn't even know you had, because sometimes people don't know what questions that they have or what it is that they may be missing up on. But really looking at the connectivity piece, the devices piece, the skill support, understanding what the individual needs for their particular circumstances, and then actually walking them through the process, going on the journey with them to get that low-cost internet, to get that low-cost device, or getting a refurbished device from STUG, as you just described, or even getting them enrolled into skills training courses, because the internet and the device is only as meaningful as if you know how to use it. So I think I can't emphasize enough how that digital navigation piece is so crucial, but it really is a journey, because as Carol and Joni have shared in their previous podcasts and blogs, it can be hard to find these individuals. And it's not because they don't want to be helped, because they're busy with life. Like you said, 3 jobs, 2 kids, have to bring them to school, to daycare. It's like sometimes I think about myself, I can barely find all the time in the day to do things that I need to do. But now here's this individual who needs assistance to call Spectrum or to enroll in classes. It's difficult, and a lot of people give up. But like you said, digital navigators especially are hope providers, social workers, because they give them the hope to really, let's make that phone call, let's get you enrolled in classes, let's do it together. Because once you're on the other side of it, you'll be so grateful that you spent that time doing it.
Absolutely. I totally agree. It's a sense of accomplishment for both the client and those that assist them. The client ends up feeling like it's one less thing I have to worry about, one more thing off my plate, when they have so much more to concern themselves with.
And was there anything that has been surprising to you, getting into the gap, seeing it evolve, working with these clients? Anything that has been surprising, any significant takeaways that you have gotten from the experience so far?
Well, I think my takeaway is, before I came to work at the Patterson Foundation, I worked in social service for many, many years. And while doing that, sometimes it's very easy to think about how to help people who have very complicated stories. And oftentimes, yes, there were basic needs that just needed to be met, but then there were a lot of other things that oftentimes was much more complicated. So sometimes I thought to myself, gosh, it gets overwhelming how much people need in their life. And being able to narrow it down to, well, at least we officially try to think about those three things, right? Connectivity, devices, and skills training. When we narrow it down, it kind of simplifies things to some extent, because it helps us to help one layer. There may be all these other things that are necessary in their lives, but we're helping one layer, and even that one layer is a great burden that's off of their shoulders. Because again, having helped in so many other ways in the spider webs of people's lives, you don't realize how just even some simple things can relieve so much on these families. So what I get from helping the families is truly such joy from helping them with these basic, what I might consider some basic needs, because saving money, that's a basic necessity. Having the resources to be able to go to school, that's a basic necessity for many, especially since COVID. Being able to do skills training so you can get a job to provide for your family, that's a basic need. So when I see that these basic needs are being met, that might prevent one argument from happening in a family that could result in a lot of things that I had to deal with as a social service provider. When I think of because money is often one of the big arguments, when I see a person smile because it's one less thing, or a grandparent smile because they have hope for their kids, their grandkids, because many of them are taking care of their grandkids, it brings me a sense of accomplishment. And in this world, we need that, that sense of hope, joy, accomplishment, and just the good things in life.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's really a ripple effect. And two brief illustrations that come to mind. Sometimes a lot of the digital navigation works when they meet with the clients. It all starts with creating them an email address. As simple as they may seem, like, doesn't everyone have an email? No, they don't. But we know an email address is the first step to unlocking anything you do online, whether it be applying for a food stamp application, getting access to your Social Security information, to your finances. It all starts with that email. And by helping an individual to start with creating with something that might feel so basic, you open up a door of online opportunities for that individual. A second example, going back to saving people money. Inflation is real. All the prices are skyrocketing. So to get a family who's paying $100 for internet services at a speed that they may not need to affordable but still quality internet, to where now they're paying $60 or just $70, those $30 extra, people have shared that they're using that to buy groceries, to pay for medications. So this ripple effect is real, and it's stories like that that are motivating and encouraging and just really prove to what vital work that our team of gap engagers are doing in the community at every event, at every conversation, and at every intake form that they complete.
And can I add to what you said? I remember there was a woman who was paying an exorbitant amount for internet because she had been convinced by the internet provider that she needed this speed and she needed that amount of connectivity. It's just like she didn't. She needed just enough, but she was basically paying for an amount that would probably house a whole building full of full of different offices. And so our digital navigators, I remember hearing her story that they were able to simplify things. She was still able to do all that she needed to do to provide for her kids or for herself, and cut her bill. And oh my goodness, I mean, for some of these families, they're on WIC, which is the Women's, Infants, and Children, right? And so many other things, SNAP and HUD, and they're on low income for they're on SSI, or, there's just so much that and student loans, kids who are dealing with student loans, and it's just too much on their plate to have to pay that much for internet. And for a connectivity, you still want good connectivity, you still want good internet, but you don't want to pay for something you don't need either.
Yes, that brings up two disclaimers. The gap is helping connect people to resources that already exist in our community. So the Patterson Foundation isn't creating anything new, but these resources already exist in our community, but there's somewhat of a disconnect between the person who needs the service and the organizations that provide them. So our digital navigators are kind of like that bridge, helping connect the individual to the services that already exist. But once again, we're talking about low cost, or in some cases free services that are still quality. So we're not connecting people to internet that freezes all the time, that can't load a page, but we're still talking about low cost, affordable, and times free services that are still quality for the individual, for the family. So I just want to bring that up. And once again, wanting to continue to bring to light these stories that our engagers continue to hear and share throughout blogs, podcasts, and whatnot. You recently shared in another blog, Sandra, that you were truly moved by a recent encounter because you met a woman at the Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Readings pop-up laundry. She had overcome many adversities, including addictions, homelessness. She was pursuing a college degree in social work, and she didn't have a device, so she was having to rent one from her school, which, of course, made money only tighter. But what was your interaction with her like, and how is the gap? It either has helped her or in the process of helping that individual lady.
Right. So we are in the process of helping her. A digital navigator is reaching out to her, has reached out to her, I should say. And it was interesting because she was folding her laundry. She was a little, rushed because she was headed to work, and work is definitely important. She's keeping her head above the shoulders and just trying to stay motivated. And she starts telling me the story so I start helping her with her laundry as I'm gathering her information. And you could just see that she was somebody who was determined to continue to overcome her adversities and wanting to reach out to others and help them. I mean, that's a great goal, especially after having overcome so much. And she was not only going to school, working, but she was also going to AA meetings and just busy, keeping herself busy. And she said, yeah, I'm renting a computer from a university, and it's not easy because I have to do my schoolwork. And I said, you know what, I think we can help you here. And although she didn't have time, and she felt like she was strong enough with the skills for digital skills, and that was good. She, if I remember her story correctly, she rented a home, and so they provided the internet themselves, and so that was one less worry. But the computer was the big thing, and so. With the computer, she was going to be able to save money. She was going to be able to do her schoolwork. She was going to be able to afford her groceries because groceries was a struggle for her. And I just felt like, hey, there is a reason why we do what we do, and it's to help the community out and to be able to help them again, have one less worry. And she felt, I think, hope there. No, not that I think. I know. She felt hope to be able to go to school and have one less thing that was on her plate that she would have to concern herself with, which was renting a computer.
And that is why we do what we do, as you said. As we wrap up our conversation today, Sandra, I want to focus on TPF's mission, approaches, and values. So we're going to do a little segment, so to speak, where I'm going to share with you a TPF approach, value, and I want you to share in a sentence or two how you feel the gap exemplifies that approach. I promise they're easy. And you've actually already touched upon this in your response, but as we conclude, I want to conclude on this high note of how the gap is once again exemplifying all the things that TPF stand for and values. So the first one is evolving. How have you seen the gap evolve since your work with the gap?
There are probably two things that stand out about how we've evolved. One is that we take into account a lot of what we see in the community. So the gap engagers and the digital navigators, they oftentimes come back with great feedback on how to either shorten the process or what kind of questions might be helpful to ask, because it certainly helps the digital navigators on their end. Or they may come up with thoughts on ways that the community has evolved and now some needs that they may have that we didn't realize. So then that ties into the second part. The communities have, or the different counties have, different resource books. And oftentimes we incorporate those in our discussions with the clients that we meet at events. So to give you an idea, we had a family that was homeless. They were living out of their car. We met them at a pop-up laundry event. And as we were communicating with them, they were telling us that they were looking for jobs or they were looking for housing. They were looking for ways to be able to save on their groceries. So as we talked to them, I'm like, oh, well, we have these resource books we've collected from the 4 counties. And so I took out the one for the Sarasota and Manatee resource book, which gratefully, Kiarra, you and Sherry were able to obtain for us. And so they spent time, and I gave them paper and a pen, and they were spending, they spent about an hour going through them and writing down all the different resources that they could use. So in that way, we go beyond just the connectivity, the devices, and the skills training. But at the same time, we still did the intake because they were wanting help with the skills training. Because as she said, I really want to find a job, and having a computer would help me because I can get a computer, work at the library, but also learn the skills to be able to use it, right? So really, the skills training was the most important thing for them, and getting a device that they could use anywhere. Hey, drive into the closest Burger King and use their Wi-Fi. Anything like that would help them. So again, not only getting feedback from our engagers and digital navigators, working with the community, and going beyond that by using resource books to help the clients that we meet, I think has been just 2 ways that we've evolved.
Thank you. The GAP continues to evolve to better suit or serve the needs of the community based on what we're hearing, both from the individuals, both for our engagers. Moving on to our second word, which is strengthening. How is the GAP strengthening the efforts of people, organizations, and communities?
Well, I think we go in tandem. We complement each other. We strengthen the community and the organizations because we provide information to our clients. So many of them didn't know that, like Goodwill in Arcadia offers job connections, for example, or that the Women's Resource Center offers several different ways to help people get back on their feet. We strengthen the community too because we work with STUG, for example, too. When we are able to strengthen the community by everyone, kind of like a circle, right? People donate computers, STUG refurbishes. We are able to then provide to clients computers who then go on to find resources using the computer that are in the community. I think of Arcadia a lot because it's such an area that has great need with even connectivity. And but either way, we are able to provide them ways to communicate because they don't have easy access to how to find out about events. And so we connect them with organizations who then have events that help them out, whether it's that they're having a food bank event or whether they're having now that we're in the holiday season, we're having events that give out toys to kids. We're helping them to find resources because they may have a computer now or they may have lower cost internet that then helps them to be able to find these resources in the community. So to me, it's just a circle of love.
Thank you. I like that you ended with the word love because that segues quite nicely to our last and final approach, which is caring. How does the GAP demonstrate caring? A word that may seem odd compared to the word evolving and strengthening, but for us at TPF, it fits right in. So how does the GAP demonstrate caring?
You know, it's funny you asked me this because as I was driving here, the word that kept coming up in my mind was the word caring. It truly makes me emotional sometimes to think about how much is done in the community, not just by the GAP, but the Patterson Foundation as a whole. And the people that are engagers within the GAP, those that are digital navigators within the GAP, and everyone beyond that work with the Patterson Foundation are just truly the most compassionate and caring individuals that I've met in a workplace and in my life. And I think that the community sees that, and the people we work with are caring individuals in the community. I mean, it's really who we partner with are people who wear their hearts on their sleeves. And the people we serve see that. They see that within us. They see that within those that they get referred to. And they see that at people with people that we partner with, different organizations we partner with at events. So when I think about caring, we really embody that for the community as a whole. Again, circle of love. It really is a circle of love and caring. Let's just end it that way, truly.
Thank you for highlighting that, Sandra. And it really, the care is shown at every interaction with the intentionality, with taking the time for quality, active listening, completing those intake forms could easily be something we get done in a minute or two, but that wouldn't be the TPF way because we'd be missing the whole point, which is having these interactions, getting to know this individual and their needs so that we can best connect them with the resources and the organizations that will assist in addressing those needs. And people in the beginning, I remember, were skeptical because they're like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into if I sign this intake form. And I think it's become easier over time because that sense, that aura, that vibe of caring has spread. So now when they see our engagers with the green shirt, even if they don't know it's the GAP, even sometimes maybe they don't know it's TPF, but they know those are the people in the green shirts who care about me and my family and who care about getting me the help that I may not even know I need or the help that I've been trying to get for months but haven't been able to overcome that obstacle. But they're here and they care enough to take the time to help.
Absolutely, and the word gets out. Let me tell you, I've had people see me at an event and they pull me, you got to come over here, you got to meet this other person, she needs you, and it's the funniest thing because the word gets out and people who might have been hesitant before hear from somebody else how it helped them, and suddenly they're like, I want in. Can you do an intake on me? And they may not use that word, but they just want someone to be able to reach out to them and help them, and I'm grateful that we can.
We know what they mean. Even if they're not using our words, we know exactly what they mean, and we'll do our best to assist them in the many ways that we can. So as we conclude our conversation, just want to thank you, Sandra, as the GAP co-manager for leading our team with enthusiasm and really setting the model of the type of interactions we want to have, making them meaningful, intentional, but really making sure that each individual knows that we care about them and their family, and we're here to help you to the very end, to help you get those digital access services that you need and deserve, because they're no longer a luxury. They're a necessity nowadays.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kiarra.
So listeners, to learn more and to stay tuned, please visit the PattersonFoundation.org.